Hi everyone, it's Anna Rose from Cricut. Welcome to the official Cricut YouTube channel. We are trying something new this morning, so if you like this format, tell us in the comments below and we'll do some more videos like this. First, we will play a pre-recorded video created by Chris, our education guy. Then stick around and we will answer some of your questions live on air after Chris's tips and tricks. This video will be useful for those who recently purchased a Cricut Joy, as well as those who are interested in creating vinyl projects. Don't worry, we will post this video on our channel after the live stream so you can reference it at any time you need a little extra help. So let's get started.
Hello, it's Chris from Cricut. In this video, I'll explain what transfer tape is and how to use it correctly. I'll start by saying this video is intended for those new to crafting. And transfer tape is adhesive tape that allows you to transfer vinyl decals or stickers off their backers and onto another surface, whether that's a tumbler, a window, or a mobile phone case. I'll start the video by going through some simple designs so you can see the application process. Then I'll graduate to more complex designs to walk you through some tips and tricks. As you watch through the video, you'll see that transfer tape gets easier over time. Like any skill, it takes a little bit of getting used to it first. This mask decal, which I'm going to use to decorate the front of my Cricut Joy, is a good example of a decal you don't necessarily need transfer tape for. The reason is it's relatively thick, and I'm also placing it on an angle, so I'm not going to need the grid backing of the transfer tape to line it up. One thing to note though, however, even though I'm using my hands to apply this, one thing you could run the risk of doing is getting an air bubble underneath if you're not using the transfer tape for an application like this. Before I show you some tips and tricks around how to use transfer tape successfully, I want to show you why you need it. Here I am decorating the front of my Cricut Joy. And without transfer tape, you're forced to take the letters off separately and place them just with kind of a best guess. And you can see the spacing is hard, and also just handling the letters, the separate letters, is tough because they tend to stick to each other. You can see you'll get just an idea from putting this first word on here that that's not really going to work. One quick note, I'm using removable vinyl for this example because I want to take it off and start over. Now I'll walk you through the same project using transfer tape. You can see I've trimmed a piece of transfer tape a little smaller than my vinyl. I'll go ahead and peel the sticky part off and then center it on the letters and apply it to my vinyl letters. And note that I've already weeded my vinyl here, which means taking the excess vinyl away from the letters. Next, scrape both sides of the transfer tape to make sure it sticks well to the decal, and don't be afraid to use some pressure here. I want to point out a distinction in technique here. I'm using smart vinyl for this project, which is for use on the Cricut Joy without a mat. It has a thicker backer, so the best technique we have found is to pull the transfer tape with the decal off the backer, as I'm doing here. Some members using everyday vinyl feel the opposite method. Pulling the vinyl backer off of the transfer tape is the best way to avoid ripples, tears, and bubbles. Now I'll simply apply my lettering where I want it, make sure it's centered, and I'll press it on the surface using my fingers first and then the scraper. And then you just want to do the same peel that you did earlier with a 45-degree angle and steady pressure, making sure that the letters stay down on your surface this time. Now let's go through a similar exercise with a vinyl cell phone sticker. You can see I've cut out my design already. It's a geometric pattern. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to weed this while we're at it. You can see I'm just getting my fingers under each corner and just pulling very gently so as not to rip the delicate pieces of the geometric design. And you can always look back at the design on your canvas, which will tell you which pieces you want to stay on the vinyl backing and which pieces you want to remove through the weeding process. I just want to point out that obviously I'm using my hand to weed this. And this is a personal preference. I'm a beginner as well. I feel that being able to feel the vinyl come off of the backer in a delicate situation like this is an easier task than using a traditional weeding tool. I'd say weeding with your hand is easier if you're using smart vinyl. And if there were more individual pieces, I'd be using a weeding tool. Okay, now let's think about how we would put this design on the cell phone case without transfer tape. And it's fairly obvious that that is a very hard task. You can see if you take the individual pieces of the design off, it would be nearly impossible to piece together. Now let's walk through application of the same sticker using transfer tape. You can see I'm just pulling it off slowly again at a 45-degree angle, moving the base of the adhesive backing a little bit as I go. Now I'll center my sticker over the cell phone case, push it down, give it a few scrapes, and then peel the transfer tape off at a 45-degree angle with steady pressure. Now let's move on to a more complex image so I can pass on some tips and tricks for this difficult part, which is really getting the transfer tape up off of the backer with the vinyl on it. And before we start, I'll just mention that after you scrape the transfer tape on top of the vinyl, if you let it sit for a minute and bond, it can be easier in some cases to pull up. You can see here I'm going to get to the leg of the cat and it's not coming up, so I'm going to scrape it and then try it again. You can also use your fingers to make things stick, and it's still not coming up, so what I'm going to do is come around from a different angle. You see how I came from the toe of the cat there and it started coming up. So if you get to a point like the back of the cat here that's not coming up, you can push it with your finger, a scraper, or you can just start coming from another angle. You can see I'm coming from the feet there, it's coming off. Now I'm having a little trouble with that left front leg, so I'll scrape that. Still not getting a stick on the back as well. So you just kind of keep working around it. And you can see this is really more art than science. But now I've found that the front of the cat is coming off easier. And it's really a momentum thing. Once you get it going, it really comes off fairly easily. So you kind of go around the image until you get really a groove. You can see I've got that final dot. Having trouble with. Just going to keep pushing on it. There it comes. All right, and there's my cat. Next, I'll center the cat on the tumbler. Give it a few scrapes. And then start peeling back. And you can see when you're taking the transfer tape off of your surface, sometimes you also take some of the sticker with you. So you can do the same technique using your hand or the scraper. A good best practice is to go slow and watch how the vinyl is sticking to your surface. Let's go back to the Design Space canvas for a moment because I want to talk about which fonts and images are appropriate for beginner level transfer tape success. You can see I've got the Use Me font, which I use for the Cricut Joy project up here, and it's very blocky and large, which makes it easy to transfer. This font, however, would be more difficult because of the level of detail, particularly in the capital U. This font would be a poor choice for transfer tape because it's so thin. It's really meant to be drawn and not cut. Let's look at some image examples. The kangaroo and the geometric design at the top of the screen would be difficult transfer tape projects for beginners because they're so delicate. A better choice might be the eagle or the bullseye at the bottom of the screen. For more information, check out Assembly Skills for Vinyl on the official Cricut YouTube channel.
Hi everyone, welcome back. What did you think of Chris's tips and tricks? I really love how he's able to make complicated things seem really simple. So now is the time for you to ask any questions you may have about smart vinyl or anything that came up while you're watching his video. Do you have any questions, Jamie?
Yes. What's the difference between smart vinyl and premium vinyl?
That's a great question. So a lot of you are existing Cricut customers, which means you probably have another machine. So your vinyl probably looks something like this. This is premium vinyl. Smart vinyl comes in a cute small package, specially trimmed for Cricut Joy, but it's special in another way as well. We call it smart vinyl because you do not need a mat to cut it. That's the biggest difference. So I opened up 2 different rolls in case someone asked this to show you. Let's go to the overhead so I can show them the difference. Tell me if you can see. Yeah? Okay. The first thing you'll notice is the size. This is our premium vinyl up here, and here is our smart vinyl. The next thing I really want to call out is the thickness difference. Because premium vinyl you use with our larger machines, you put on a mat, it has a flimsier backer, okay? Smart vinyl has a very thick backer. So that's why it's a little bit different when you're trying to transfer it with transfer tape, because this backer is so much thicker. It's replacing the mat. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, how do they know when they need to use transfer tape?
Okay, let's go back to the front camera. So you know you need to use transfer tape if the thing you want to move from the transfer tape liner to your project is intricate. Did you see Chris's example of how he was trying to hand place every single letter onto his Cricut Joy? That's definitely an example where you want to use transfer tape. If you want all of the pieces to stay exactly how you cut them out, that's when you use transfer tape.
Okay. And why would you need a Joy if you have a maker?
I love that question. The Joy was specially designed for quick, easy projects. So imagine if you're going on a trip or if you need to go to your kid's school. What machine would you rather take with you? Your Cricut Maker, which is quite heavy and hefty because it needs to be, right? Because it can cut some amazing things. Or the portable Cricut Joy. It can still cut vinyl and iron on and lots of quick, easy projects. And it's so light. It's the most portable of our machines.
Okay. Is smart vinyl permanent?
You know what? We have 2 different kinds of smart vinyl. We have permanent and removable. Let's go back to the overhead camera and I'll show you. Do you see that? Okay, so these are 2 boxes of smart vinyl. One says permanent on the front and one says removable. Let me pull it up a little bit so you can see it closer. Is that better? The permanent vinyl is meant for things that you want to stay for a long time, that you want to last. Removable are for projects that maybe you might remove someday. So if you want to do something on a water bottle, for example, use the permanent. If you want to do something on your wall that you might want to remove later, I would use removable.
Okay. What tools do you need to use transfer tape successfully?
Okay, these are my favorite tools that we made just for Cricut Joy. You'll see inside the package, here I'm gonna reach really quick. You'll see inside the package you have a weeder tool, a spatula, and a scraper tool. And I have some open as well. So the spatula is really great because this is what you need to burnish the front and the back of your vinyl projects. The weeder tool is what you need to actually pick out those teeny tiny pieces of vinyl. If you get really hardcore, we also sell these giant scrapers, which I love, 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 because see how it kind of has a gripped surface? I can really hold on to it and scrape across my projects to make sure I have a good seal.
Okay, perfect. Another question, when using transfer tape, are there certain bases that are harder to transfer vinyl to?
Yes, definitely. If you are a beginner and you're just trying vinyl for the first time, I would recommend a flat, smooth surface. So a good one that you have right on hand is your Cricut Joy. You could decorate your Cricut Joy with vinyl as one of your first projects. I also really recommend notebooks, things that are flat. right? Water bottles are fun, but they do have a curved surface. So maybe that could be your second project.
Okay. And then are there certain images that make good projects using transfer tape?
Well, I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of images in the Design Space library for you to choose from. But if you're a beginner, if you're just starting out using vinyl, look for images that don't have a ton of floating or extra pieces inside of them. Because that will be harder to transfer because there's more tiny pieces that you have to pick up from the transfer tape and move to another surface. Find an image in Design Space that has more of a filled area. I hope that makes sense.
Is there a time when you would need to use glossy versus matte vinyl, or is there a reason you would use one versus the other?
That's a good question. It's completely preference. So I like using glossy vinyl when I want like a little extra pop, and I use matte if I know that it's going to be something that will be used a lot. Like I would put matte on a water bottle for my kids, but I'd probably put glossy on a water bottle for me because I know the kids are going to be banging it around and I don't want it to get all scratched up. Okay, so this was something new. We've never done this before, where we show a pre-recorded video and then we ask questions at the end. We hope you liked it. If you did, please leave us comments below and we'll try to do more like this in the future. Continue asking questions and we'll follow up throughout the day answering them.